Paul Stainer give away some grips tonight.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
Grips.
Yeah, let him give away some grips and
We got stickers for the What's It Worth, and we got a poster, of course, for trivia tonight.
let me see how beautiful you are. Oh, there you are. Look at you. Stunning. You have a face for television. That's where I have a face for radio.
You have a face already.
All right?
Yeah, I'm good. All right, you're not live yet?
No, I'm going live. I'm starting the show right now.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, here we go.
I'm Jerry Maddox.
And I'm Ryder Maddox in sunny California.
And you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, hosted by Joe Abbate.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Abbate. Thank you for joining us tonight at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you. Thank you all very much. As always, the lovely Susie is here with me tonight. Suze, there you are. Everything going all right there?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got some new buttons here, and everybody loves Susie.
You're dangerous. You're dangerous with buttons.
There it is. Everybody loves.
Applause.
Everybody loves Susie too.
He's got the drum roll.
No, don't tell anybody. I want to surprise everybody.
Oh my gosh, he's just.
You know what you're giving away? You know what the trivia is and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I do. I'm giving away grips tonight.
Yeah.
For viewer appreciation grips.
Yeah, viewer appreciation.
Stickers for What's It Worth, and of course a poster for trivia.
Okay, then we're good.
So we're good.
Yeah, I mean, if the viewing audience saw what went on here 2 minutes before this camera went on, they would never believe it.
No.
All right, keep sharing the show. Let us know where you're watching from, and we will get on with it, as they say right now. I want to thank all of our sponsors that help us out here at Vintage Motocross Q&A, including Racer X, International Motocross Museum, Motion Pro, Bultaco East, Preston Petty Products, Full Circle Racing, and Amsoil. Thank you guys, all of you, for being such great sponsors from over the years and keeping the show going. All right. Now, I've been telling you about this for a couple of weeks. We do have a new sponsor, and that sponsor is ARMA. Of course, American Historic Racing Motorcycle Association, ARMA. They've been around a long time, probably one of the first groups to have vintage racing, and they do it all: sidecar, road racing, motocross, flat track, trials. They do it all, and they've got some great events coming up that I'm going to be telling you about just a little bit now, because they're all over the country. So you got Rattlesnakes Run coming up. You've got this looks really cool, Bushbusters Bonanza. This is happening in Marceline, Missouri. What else? September 27th, you got Bushy Ranch, and you've got the Farm 14 coming up. That happens on Saturday in October. Anyway, you got a lot coming up, and it's all happening next to ARMA. Now, the other great thing about this ARMA relationship that we have is, and how it all got started, was because they have the Barber Fall Festival that happens in Alabama by the Barber Museum. You're going to hear about that a little bit later on in the show. It is not something you want to miss. You'll need a day before and a day after to get through this museum and see exactly what's going on there. But once again, thank you, Ed Roman, and everybody at ARMA. All right, we're going to take a look at the Next Time Try This video that was sent in to us this week by Roy Vanderveer, and it's something that we all deal with from time to time: fender mounting.
Hello, I'm Roy Vanderveer, and today we're going to talk about how to drill a blank fender. This one's a DC Plastics. It came with the bike that I got. Somebody else had already drilled holes in it, and they did a pretty nice job, but they're a little too far to this side, and they're not back far enough to keep the back end of the fender off the radiator on this bike. So I made a template out of painter's tape. And I'm going to reference off the back edge. So just used a straight edge and a razor blade to get a nice square edge on the back. And then once we're ready to go, I can pull this all up as one piece. And we can put that original equipment fender away. And then I can just reposition it on the top of this fender to get the holes right where I want them to be. So this will take a quick second, line it up good with the side, the back, come forward just a little bit. And with that, my template is in place. Next, I'm going to get my drill out and let's see how we do. Okay, and I did drill some new pilot holes to make sure I got as close to center as I could on all of these. And we'll hit them real quick. Okay, there we go. And then we can pull our template off. You can see how far off those other holes were. So no harm, no foul. Nobody's going to see this, but they were off by quite a bit. So next step is some fresh special washers up here where they belong. And we'll mount it up on the bike.
There you go. Is that it, Roy? I guess that's it for the Roy video, huh? I thought he had the whole thing a little bit more where they showed actually mounting it up on the bike. But anyway, it was a good video, and we got really to the crux of it with Roy, and he showed. All right, how's that? Now my mic isn't muted.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Thank you again, Mike McCook, for the posters, and everybody else. Robert Charles Leides is lip reading. Okay, well.
Is it back?
Yeah, it's back on and everything's good. Let's go on to the next segment of the show. Tonight is we have the Moto Showcase. Moto Showcase is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Thank you, Paul Stannard, Patty Stannard, everybody there at Preston Petty Products. Like we have tonight is something that I had built for a dear friend, Jerry Cantone, over 20 years ago. And here it is. And as most of you know, I really don't like black rims. But my friend Jerry, at that time, they had just become popular, really. And I think this was maybe a year or so after we were racing vintage. I'm thinking this is around 2001. Anyway, it was a 1978 Suzuki RM 125. And Jerry bought this bike and a couple of other ones in pieces and gave it to me, and I put my magic touch on it, so to speak, and Jerry wound up with a real nice race bike. We were able to have some fun with this one, and I remember just starting to get a metal lathe, and I started making some really cool stuff on a metal lathe, things like this brake torque arm, which I added a couple of Heim joints to, and I remember a little lesson here where I went out and bought Heim joints and forgot that the holes in the Heim joints are not metric. So I went through a little learning curve with that. I had to make some bushings, but it all turned out really, really well. And the bike overall, I mean, it was always a showstopper when we went to the races. It ran as good as it looked. Jerry, of course, got me to do the black rims. Now, the question we always got was, where'd you get the side panels? And it was a funny story. I found these side panels at a swap meet somewhere. I think it was at the Nesco swap meet, Joe Balazzo's Nesco swap meet. And I found them there. They were unmarked. Nobody knew what they were. The guy wanted $35. I gladly paid him, even though I didn't know what they were for, figuring eventually I would. And are they for this bike? The angle looks a little off by the shock. It may be for a bike with a little bit of a sharper angle. I don't know. But look, we made it fit, and they look pretty cool on this bike. Another touch was the raised letters. We took one of they're like paint sticks, but they're for rubber. Some of the factories use them, and we put this, put that on the tires. Of course, the name Cycle Therapy was growing back then. It became real popular. We took the engine all apart, rebuilt it top to bottom, bearings inside and out. It ran like a clock. We refinished the cases in a nice satin black finish. Put some Works Performance shocks on it, the black fork boots, and there it is, sitting on my driveway in Paramus, New Jersey, on a little bit of a rain break in the spring back in 2001 or 2002, I think it was. But there it is, 1978 Suzuki RM 125. And if you're watching, I'll send you something, a shirt, maybe some grips, whatever you might like, okay? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jerry Cantone, for being a dear friend and for, of course, allowing us to use that bike here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. We're going to take a little bit of a break, hear from our sponsor, Preston Petty, and then we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A in just a minute. Mm-hmm. And there was light. Preston Petty said, let there be light, and he gave you this, 1,200 lumens with a rechargeable battery on the back. Hook it up to your bike. No wires, no fuss, no muss. Get over to PrestonPettyProducts.com today. Thanks, Paul Stannard. Okay, very good. I wish I weighed that much now. Anyway, it's my favorite time of the evening, Susie. It is time for trivia. This is the part of the show where we give away. What's that? The audience likes this, you said? They do, huh? Oh, yeah. I got to stop with this now, okay? All right, so we are back, and we are going to have trivia. Trivia is brought to you by Mike McCook and Motorcyclist Illustrated. They are on Facebook. Be sure to visit them today. It's a nice, versatile page. A lot of things over there about motocross, road bikes, on-road, off-road, dual purpose, all sorts of cool stuff like that brought to you by Mike McCook. And what we're playing for is this, that 18 by 24 poster of Jimmy Weinert and Tony DiStefano. It's on the Racer X cover back in 2004. And this contest is going to be pretty easy tonight, guys. So I'm going to put it up on the screen. It's a picture, and this is for a poster. All right, so I'm going to put the picture up on the screen. I want you to tell me who this young man is. Who's this young man here at the left? Can you see it? Yeah? I'll give you a closer look. There he is. You got to tell me who this kid is. It's a call-in contest. Got to dial 925-234-8181. I'm sorry, 925-784-2195. That's 925-784-2195. It's for the poster. All right? Susie is standing by. In the meantime, we're going to move on.
Show it again.
I'm sorry?
Show it again.
Show the picture again?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the kid. He went on to become a pretty famous racer. All right? And I'll show it right here as well. But he went on to become a pretty famous racer. I think we have somebody on the phone, and but we're going to move on just a bit here, okay? Don't forget, follow Dave Boydston, AMS Racing. Follow Dave Boydston on his personal page. All right, Dave Boydston, he brings you a lot of content all week long. Some really, really cool stuff from Dave Boydston. He's sometimes at a swap meet, sometimes at a car show. Does all kinds of great things, including doing some great events with motorcycles as well. So be sure to follow Dave Boydston on his personal page on Facebook. And what else we got going on here? Oh, yeah, this is the show where I actually tell you that, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. I got a little confused on the buttons here. It's Dave's Corner, Dave's Classic Corner, brought to you by AMS and Dave Boydston. Now, what I like about this thing tonight is Dave gives us a little insight on a bike that isn't quite complete, but for you Bultaco guys, I think you're going to like this. It gives you a good description of a bike. And, well, here, enough of my rambling. Take a look at this.
Hello everybody, this is Dave from AMS again. The last little video I'll take here of this group of bikes. This is a Mark II Bandito Model 61. So this is going to come out around 1971. And this had the aluminum fenders, the little narrower gas tank, narrower seat, and came in both motocross or a flat track or desert trim. That's a 21-inch front wheel, so this was a motocross version. The motor is stuck, that's the stock pipe. Only the head pipe's got a dent in it. The main body is clean. Those are stock shocks. Stock rear fender, frame loop, kicker, carburetor, front wheel, forks, levers, throttle assembly, even grips are the original ones from this period. That ignition cover is rare as hen's teeth and worth multiple hundreds of dollars. These are the correct hubs and wheels for the bike. That's the inner chain guard on it. The total air box is there. I now have both side panels and the missing fittings. I have a new seat for it. I have the front fender and its side braces. That's what I do, is that for years I start to find the pieces that are missing from this bike. Mike Cram got CMC number 1, I think starting the year on his Bandito, riding for Mitco Bultaco, and then switched over to Makos and was riding for American Motocross Warren Burrell after that. But a lot of people, Davis, I'm just trying to remember Rich Davis was the Mitco Bultaco 500 Junior Intermediate, I think later into the pro class too. But this thing was a heavy bike with big engine and a very small crankshaft. The motors really did go fast, but they had problems shearing keyways from these massive flywheel weights that they put on the ends, a lot like a trials bike. Frame was the heaviest frame they ever made. At this time, all the steel, all the product put on a Bultaco had to come from Spain. They didn't get the rights to use chromoly, none of the Spanish manufacturers, until the 1974 models, when they were allowed to work outside the country to get things they no longer had. This bike's beautiful when done. Everybody likes the Mark I better, but when you get a nice set of polished aluminum fenders on there, this thing even looks bigger as a Mark II than it did as a Mark I. So this is a Bandito Mark II. There was only 2 models of Banditos. The first year, second year, there was TT version, flat track TT with a 19-inch front wheel and the clamp-on bars onto the forks. And then the motocross version is this one with the regular U-bolts holding on the handlebars and a 21-inch front fender, or 21-inch front wheel, and both came with the same front fender, the high fender. But there's a little family of bulls, and there's its relatives right behind it, all waiting to go back in the house. You guys have a great day. I'm going to go home and maybe have shower number 2. I think we're probably about 1:15 right now. And I just wanted to get to a Hindle just to take a picture of it and show somebody. So you got to see everything that was in this trailer. And now it's going to be way more organized and all put away real clean. Have a great day. OCD number 1.
Dave Boydston. The man is a fountain of information when he tells you stories about how much a frame weighs on a Bultaco from 1971. It's just absolutely incredible. I want to thank Dave Boydston and AMS. All right. Be sure to follow Dave Boydston on Facebook on his personal page, and you'll see some really cool stuff just like that. All right. Also, Russell Waters and Amsoil. Russell Waters, a good friend and a longtime supporter and sponsor of Vintage Motocross Q&A. If you're looking for anything that has to do with oil and cleaners and some really, really great products, be sure to visit Amsoil and go to www.theoilpeople@shopamsoil.com, and then you will get something directly from Russell. You get it directly from him, okay? There's some cool stuff. And mag lights. We are out of mag lights temporarily, but we do have the 10mm socket kits and koozies and some stickers and other stuff like that, all right? We are going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to hear from the International Motocross Museum. We'll be right back with Ted Boyko and the Expansion Chamber. We'll be right back after this message.
I'm Heikki Mikkola. We will be right back.
That was perfect, Heikki.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
The International Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Be sure to visit them online today at internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. Now, a moment ago, we were playing trivia, and nobody was able to answer so far who this youngster is in this picture. And I showed a closer picture of him right here, and still nobody has called in to 925-784-2195. I'm going to show you another picture, and you're going to say, that doesn't help us. I purposely, well, you'll see what I did. See, this is the picture I showed you the first time. Well, this should tell you who the kid is. Area code 925-784-2195. Who is this young man in this picture? If you look at this picture, there is an extremely tall hint to tell you who the kid is. All right? So we are going to move on with the show right now. Well, we were just thanking the International Motocross Museum for all they do for us here. Be sure to visit them online. They are not for profit, as you know, so any donations you make, anything that you buy from the International Motocross Museum is 100% tax deductible, okay? And in that video, it says bikes are in the gate. They are at the building. And our pitch book is complete. It is in the hands of some pretty big manufacturers and people in the industry who are interested in becoming a part of the International Motocross Museum. There'll be more about that in the very, very near future, but it is going to happen, and you are going to get yourself a motocross museum. Susie's giving me the signal here, and it looks like we might have somebody who's going to take a wild guess. Maybe it's not going to be a guess, otherwise Susie wouldn't have him on. So let's say who this is. This is Joe Abbate. You're on the Vintage Motocross Q&A. Who am I speaking to?
George Camacho.
George Camacho. I showed this picture of this young fellow right here. I said that he went on to be a pretty famous motorcycle racer. So who is it?
It is David Bailey.
It is David Bailey. And I didn't want to put this picture up first because obviously at like 6'5", David's dad, Gary, is in that picture. And I thought, well, that would be a dead giveaway, but I think it was a little too tough from this picture. But yeah, George, you did get it, and you get yourself a poster. Hang on, Susie will be back on. I think we have your address. You may have won something before, but why don't you talk to Susie about it, and maybe we'll get you something else, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, George. George Camacho got it. David Bailey. All right. It was David Bailey. And we did the International Motocross Museum. We've got some comments going on. What do we got going on next? Oh, if you want to become a sponsor of the show, $249.95, $250 a month. If you have a business and you want to reach a little over 2.5 million people every 90 days, probably close to 3 million by now, $250. You'll be up on the board behind, just like Motion Pro, Bultaco East, Arma, who I'm really thrilled about having, Full Circle Racing, and so many more that we've had over the years who did so well being an advertiser here on Vintage Motocross Q&A. What's it worth? This is the part of the show where I ask you, the viewers at home, to tell me what you think this bike recently sold for. The What's It Worth segment is brought to you by Full Circle Racing. And tonight we take a look at a 1978 Kawasaki KX 125. Is that what it is? I can't quite see. Yeah, 78. There it is. And I'm going to get you a closer look at this whole thing in just a second. All right. Okay. 1978 Kawasaki KX250A4. This bike was acquired in 2017 and went through some subsequent work, including recovering the black vinyl seat and replacing the plastics and controls. The tank is in beautiful condition, as we can see here from the side. It is finished in green with white number plates. The bike is powered by a 249cc two-stroke single paired with a 5-speed transmission. Equipment includes a Mikuni carburetor, electronic ignition, and aluminum gas tank, an expansion chamber exhaust system, a boxed aluminum swing arm finished in anodized gold, a cross brace handlebar, Kickstarter, KYB suspension, high mount plastic fenders, and gold anodized rims. Who didn't love this bike when it first came out and there were so few of them? The KX250A4 is now offered at no reserve in Montana for off-road use only, with removed plastics and a bill of sale. When he says removed plastics, he has another set of plastics that went with the bike. Okay. Replacement green plastics are from Nightmare Racing. They were installed by the seller in June of 2023 and are paired with a matching 2.1-gallon aluminum fuel tank set over a black single down tube double cradle frame. Well, which is it? A single down tube or a double cradle? It's a single down tube. Anyway, details include a forged aluminum rear brake pedal, front and side white number plates, black and white graphics. The black solo seat was recovered in 2025. The kickstand tab was welded to the frame under prior ownership, and imperfections in the fuel tank are captured in the gallery. I thought this bike overall was in very, very nice condition. It didn't really show any serious wear and tear. I'm not so sure anything was touched up. And to me, I think this is the original tire on the back of the bike as well. It definitely does have the original shocks on it. And he mentioned something about the tank being a little wavy, maybe so, but this is definitely original. So are the bars. So I think somebody got a really great deal here. So Susie's on the phone and she's looking at what somebody is guessing this bike sold for. So without any further, drum roll, please. How much did the bike recently sell for? $7,100. That's $7,100. One of only 1,500 A4s that ever came to America. That was a steal. $7,100.
Got two winners.
Do you? Who do you have?
I have Rob Wilhelm
Yeah.
and Philip Agapio.
Okay, here's what we're doing. I know Phil Agapio and Robert Wilhelm, big supporters of the show. They both got the price right. Get their addresses. They will both get 2 stickers from Vintage Motocross Q&A. Okay? Thank you, Phil Agapio and Robert Wilhelm. I also want to thank you for, you did really great last week. You put a tank up on Facebook that I took the dents out for you and you had repainted. It did turn out very nicely, but boy, you shared it all over the place and you mentioned my name every place that you did. Thank you so much and enjoy that tank. And it did turn out very, very nicely. We do not have a Did You Know? Oh, you know what? We do have a Did You Know segment, but it's not going to be from Jeff Kokoski. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. Let's catch up with Ted Boyko and the expansion chamber. Ted's been videotaping some Q&As with me on the weekends. We've been showing them on the show on Wednesdays. They've been really good. Some of them have been long, and we've had to show the entire segment the next day on Vintage Motocross Q&A. That's probably what's going to happen here. But let's catch up with Ted Boyko, and then we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A. Ted, take it away. Boyko, thank you for joining me again this week on the expansion chamber.
Thank you.
Look at this nice picture of you, Ted. Look at that. You're all business there in the shop with the thing around your neck. You look like one of those French directors. Look at that.
Yeah, I started wearing masks at Cycle Town with Ted Morwood. They were handing me 10 cylinders at a time.
Yeah.
And I saw these old guys grinding cylinders with no mask. And I would go home with this, blowing this black crap out of my nose. I'm going, well, it should be good for me. And I noticed the smell, the odor was bothering me. And so I've actually worn a mask every day grinding. The cast iron, I'm boring holes all day long.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, you can see this stuff in the air.
I know you can.
Right, and it's fine. And so I got to keep my face and my nose covered at all times, especially glasses. When I'm grinding, I use a Oakley. You'll see in that picture, I don't think I had these glasses on. I had another pair of Oakleys. Oh, yeah, those are Oakley wraparounds. So those work really good for machining. And I have two of those on, I have them there all the time clean. And they fit tight to your head. So when you got a mask on grinding the amounts of stuff that I'm doing, you definitely got to be covered up.
All right, Ted, enough about your cutting edge clothing gear around the shop. We know you're stylish. You do it like nobody. Here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about liners, cylinder liners, some of the do's and don'ts, what people should be looking for, the decisions they should make. I've had some people call me and they have 79 or 80 Honda CR125, very popular bike in that Evo vintage thing. And they're a little skeptical about having their cylinders re-chromed, Nicosil, NiCad. And they'll say to me, well, maybe I should put a liner in it. What are your thoughts?
Well, depending on what it is. A lot of the bikes that come out there, the older bikes that had liners already in them,
right?
It's easier to pop a liner in that because you can bore it, and you don't have to bore. Some of the liners were cast in.
Yes.
So if you were going to go to a big bore, for instance, because I've done a lot of sleeving over the years, you got to literally bore the old liner out into the aluminum. And believe it or not, I've had where the whole liner will fall right out, on your last cut, because
now, Ted, this is a good example. I think if you look down there, you could see the cast iron cylinder as opposed to the aluminum cylinder itself. You could see the liner, the iron liner, and the aluminum cylinder.
So prior to a sleeve, we would bore all of that out,
right?
Literally in the boring barn. You're going to go into the raw aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're into the aluminum. So your last cut is going to be super, super. That's where it's critical. You don't want to overbore it. It's got to be perfectly, because the tolerance has to be a tight tolerance. And I make mine's got to be a super tight press fit. If a liner goes in easy, then we know we got a problem. You don't want the liner to drop in super easy. We heat the crap out of this thing. And the problem I have with liners is that's why I have Dave and Nick install mine.
Right.
Because I don't want them to spin. They got to be they got to be just right. I've had other companies who pop them in, they bore them too loose, and then they come to my shop where the thing under heat, as he's running, the thing will actually rotate a 1/4 inch and then hook a ring and cause the thing to blow up. So if you have them done right, like by Dave and Nick at LA Sleeve, you won't have that problem.
Okay, and that is LA Sleeve, Dave and Nick.
Yep, right there. Been around forever. Great guys. If you're gonna have a liner popped in, I suggest you use Dave and Nick. They've been doing it longer than anybody. I know there's Northwest Sleeve and other people that make sleeves, but on the other hand, I've been dealing with Dave and Nick. I'm loyal to them. They're loyal to me, and we're like family. So I've always used Dave and Nick on everything. And honestly, people can call them at any time. They're a great company to get information and learn about, because they're openly will tell you the truth. They're just great people. I don't think they're really, really good with what they do.
Okay.
And they've been doing it, I think, longer than anybody out there. If you go to their shop, they really got their stuff together. So
let's talk about a little bit of the process of doing that. I mean, you mentioned about boring out the old liner. Now you get that out. Does that cylinder has to go in an oven to be heated up for it to expand it?
Yes.
How hot does it have to get? And what is the process for the sleeve before you put it in?
So what we do is we take the cylinder once we machine it to its exact measurement that it has to be. and then you got to have the counterbore. Once all that's done, then you're going to stick this thing in an oven.
Mhm.
And you're going to put it in you can put it in your home oven. I mean, when I worked at ProTech, I popped in all the liners and all our twin, because we casted up our own jet ski cylinders.
Mhm.
And so with LA Sleeve would make all the sleeves. I'd get them all. But I literally, Dallas bought me, I think it was an O'Keefe Merritt kitchen oven that I installed into the shop
Right.
at ProTech that was just for baking. But I used it only for cylinders.
Okay.
So we would pop those cylinders in there 4 at a time, heat the crap out of these things, put them out on and then I'd get all the sleeves that were in the freezer. You want them frozen. I stick them in a day in advance because I wanted these liners to pop in just right. And it is critical, once you do a bunch, you get a system down on how to set them up and how they're going to line up with the ports, because it's super critical. If you just drop it in, you don't have any time to rotate the sleeve whatsoever.
Right.
So it's super critical that you get the exhaust and the intakes lined up just right, so you're not having a guy like myself who ports cylinders to go in there and spend hours grinding those sleeves away to match the aluminum. So it's really critical that you line them up perfectly straight. And don't get me wrong, I've dropped some in over the years where I got the thing off 1/8 of an inch. Well, 1/8 of an inch is a lot, because you gotta straighten that whole mess up now. That 1/8 of an inch is off, whether it's top or bottom. You got to take care of it. And if you don't, you're going to have the thing run, not right. It'll run.
Right.
It's not going to run till it's peak horsepower. So those
Ted,
are things that are critical.
Okay. Let me, I've seen this, and it totally, it took me a while to figure this out. I had a cylinder here, or somebody sent me an engine, whatever it was on a restoration, and it had a liner in it, but the liner looked different. There was something about it. I couldn't quite figure out what it was. And I think it was when it came to getting the size of the piston. What somebody actually did was they pressed the liner in, then they had it plated.
Oh, God, I see it all the time.
Do you? It drove me a little nuts.
It's crazy. I get a lot that have come in from East Coast, believe it or not, they put the liner in.
Yeah.
I've gone, they plated it.
Yes.
It's like, what? Why? I mean, you just, and then, so it'll come through. It's hilarious. So the guy's got the liner and he wants to go to the big bore. Well, I tell him, well, we can do that because I'm just going to cut the plating out. And so that's what I've done. I've seen this come in from several different motors.
Yep.
And get this, they're wore out. The plating's wore out. So I go in there and just cut. The next thing you know, it's just shooting off like chrome off a bumper, just flying out. So, and then you got to clean it up too, because what they do, I don't know if you've looked at how they plate. Power Seal, for instance, each plating company, you'll notice a little bit of differences I always tell people I want at least amount of plating in the ports as possible.
Of course.
If you notice on some Millennium or wherever they're coming from, you'll notice that the plating is excessive, and it's gone into the transfer port and into the intake port and into the exhaust, because like a 1/2 inch. And you'll notice you can tell by the color. So for me, when I come back to port some of these cylinders, I'm getting 10 of them sent at a time, sometimes 20, depending on what company it is. A lot of them, because the mini business has been good over the years. It's huge right now. I'm still doing stuff for PAX Racing. Don Faulkner does a majority of the mini bike business. It's like Pro Circuit of the minis.
Right.
And so he sends a lot of them. And I'll literally see that the plating is so excessive into these mini cylinders that I literally almost the whole entire port is covered up with plating, if that makes any sense, which makes it harder for me to port a cylinder because now I got to sit there and grind all this plating away in the exhaust and the intake, you know, because you're obviously not going to leave that there because it's basically just added material on top of material.
Yes.
So I spend a lot of time just taking, because the transfer ports, the way they plate sometimes gets so much slag or plating into the port area. These plating companies are not going back into the transfers, if you know what I'm talking about, and matching them where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So basically the heights change, you know what I'm saying? So I go in there and match them up properly after they come back. So these things do make the horsepower they're supposed to make. And you'll find out in the rear transfer port, for some damn reason, they'll have more of that plating, excessive schlep or whatever you want to call it in there that restricts the fuel going to the spark plug because that's the most important part.
Yeah.
That port is the most important port that's shooting the fuel to the spark plug, and it has to have a nice radius so it's for when the crank pressure comes up, it hits that spark plug. That's the
so
key.
We're talking about these ports here on the sides of the cylinder, in other words.
So on the rear, so you're talking the small port.
Yeah.
We want to push. So you got your crank going. We want to push the fuel to the small port and the one that's right above the intake port. Those are the most important. And we want to, if you look at that big transfer, I don't square that up. Do you see how that's square on the exhaust side? Well,
yeah.
A lot of the fuel out of that port is going to end up going out of the exhaust. And I'm going to tell you why. We round that port on, in fact, both of those ports would have a radius shooting the fuel the opposite direction of the exhaust. I don't like how this guy ported this. This is too squared off, and you're going to lose a lot of fuel right out the exhaust. So
Add to the stage. Hopefully you all can see me again. All right. Sorry about that. We will be right back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A right after this message from Full Circle Racing.
Hi, I'm Sue Fish. You are watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer's simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
All right, we are back at Vintage Motocross Q&A. Susie, I got you on camera here. Oh, I guess I must have moved this a little while ago. My vice is now in the picture. All right, now we've got some viewer appreciation prizes you want to give away.
Oh, to Greg Gonzalez.
Greg Gonzalez,
Yeah,
what is he getting? Grips.
he's getting grips.
Greg Gonzalez, thank you for watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. You want a set of grips just like this, compliments of Preston Petty products. Okay, get us your mailing address. Either send it to me in a message on my personal page, and we'll get you some grips, compliments of Preston Petty products. Okay, thanks for watching the show tonight. All right, moving on. I mentioned a little bit earlier that we have a segment every week. It's called Did You Know? And Jeff Kokoski has been bringing you incredible information on all sorts of things, from vernier calipers to Scott boots and so many other things over the years. But Jeff is busy doing something else this week, so I have a little something else for you. Did you know? Did you know about a guy named Mako Mo? Mako Mo is a real popular guy in Northern California. He sold and bought Makos and restored them. And the legacy was handed down to his son, Paul Griffin. And he took a little trip around his shop with his camera for us. And did you know about Mako Mo? Let's take a look at this.
I'm going to go through Mako from 1974 to 1984. And we'll start off in 74, where Mako actually had 3 different chassis in their production models that year. They started off with a carryover straight back frame, had the triangular air box. This is the narrow frame version. There was a wider frame for the square barrel in 72, 71, 70. You could see that the swing arm, the shock mount was towards the rear of the swing arm. And Mako needed a change. They knew it. So that's when the GP frame came out in mid-74. And you could see the GP frame, smaller air box. They swept up the straight back frame to a curve. And they had this big beefy rear bracket and this curved front one. You could see that they brought the shock mount brackets up from the straight back model, giving the rear of the GP frame more travel. They weren't happy with this chassis, so Mako changed it again in mid-year 74. They flip-flopped the brackets. The rear flat bracket that I talked about now is in the front. They drilled 2 holes in it. And that small one that was in the front of the older GP is now in the back of the GP. This made the rear stronger and paved the way for the 75. The 75 top shock mount bracket had 4 holes, relatively the same air box space, but you'll notice that the tank now mounts on the top tube, and the steering bearings go to a Timken roller bearing versus the old bicycle bearing that the 70 had. This paved the way to the AW76. The AW76 model was one of their most popular models that led to the 77 AW. A lot of people ask me, what's the difference between the 76 and the 77? The very quick way to identify the 76 from the 77 is where the seat mounts. The seat mounts on the 76 in the back were all the 4 speeds mounted in the vintage years. The 77 has 2 tabs on the seat that mount on the sides. That's how you'll know you've got a true 77 8-all foil. Still had the Girling shocks in the back. Last year, the coffin tank, you can see the 76 at the raw coffin tank. The 77 is a painted version, same tank. And then we go to the Magnum years. The Magnum years, all new engine, all new cases, a kind of a banana style swing arm. Like I said before, the coffin tank goes away and they do a newly designed rounded aluminum tank. Then you go to the 79 Magnum. The difference between these two, a lot of questions on this. They go to a frame loop on the back in 79. And the 78, you can identify it because it looks like it's been chopped off. That is the difference between the 78 and the 79 motocross models. From the 79, you get the same curved alloy tank, the graphic changes, and then we go to the 1980. 1980 goes, Mako goes away with the alloy tank forever and gets its first plastic tank. The 1980, the banana style angle to it is the most talked about Megaform chassis. You could see that when you go from the Megaform 1980 to the 1981, that angle flattens out. And you could see on the bike here, the seat all the way to the tank, it's virtually flat. The first Megaform 81 frame still had the squares on the top tubes, and this changed mid-year at the end. They went with a double gusset on the top, which paved the way to the design of the 1982. The 1982 was Mako's first single shock year. You might know that they used Ferrari's suspension company, Cordo and Casso, in some of the earlier years of Mako's before the 82. They designed a incorrect leverage ratio in the rear shock, which had Mako shipping all their customers an Olean shock for free, a WP shock if you were in Europe. And that brought along the 83, 84 chassis. The 83, 84 chassis, they did away with the double gusset and they put the gusset in the center of the top tubes. More gusseting, redesigned swing arm, but the engine went away with the double row chain clutch and went with a gear-driven clutch. The big bores got a reed valve, the 250 again with the reed valve this year. And there you have it. Mako from 1974 to 1984. If you want to see any of the Mako Mo builds, you can go on the Instagram, hashtag Mako Mo. Thanks for watching.
Paul Griffin, you did an absolutely spectacular job with that. Please make more videos for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. I would be happy to feature your bikes every week. Just do me one favor. Turn that camera from portrait to landscape. Make it wider. Dave Boyd's in too, and Dave does it sometime. But if you're going to send in videos, hold your phone this way instead of this way, if at all possible. Makes it better on the screen. People can see more. It just looks really great. Paul Griffin, I love that video. I love it. All right. Give me a call. We'll talk about getting some more videos on the show from Mako Mo and Paul Griffin. All right. What else we got coming up here? I think it's already time for us to get down to the nitty gritty with the announcements, Susie.
Yeah.
We already gave away our viewer appreciation.
Yeah.
And, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to thank Bultaco East. They're still on as a supporter of the show. And, of course, Ben's Vintage Mini Bike Podcast. Thank you, Ben Thomas, for what you do for us here at the show, sharing it, and coming up with some great content for your Mini Bike Podcast page as well. And if you can't get enough of Works Bikes, go over to the International Motocross Museum page, or channel, rather, on YouTube. A lot of cool stuff over there. This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X. Be sure to visit them online at racerx.com or get yourself a good old-fashioned copy. 1973, Talladega International Speedway hosts a round of the AMA 250-500 Pro Motocross Championship, and Honda rider Gary Jones gives the brand Honda its first ever win at the iconic speedway, followed by Rich Thorwaldsen and Yamaha's Tim Hart. In the 500cc class, Yamaha's Pierre Karsmakers claimed the win, followed by Kawasaki's Wyman Purdy and Suzuki-mounted Mickey Boone. And there's another good picture of Gary Jones in his lineman boots. Good times way back there in 1973. 1975, the Popeyes Fried Chicken National at Motocross West outside New Orleans brings up a wrap on the 1975 AMA 125-500 Motocross Championship. Team Honda's Marty Smith once again topped the 125 class. He had clinched the title well before the final, based on winning every round but the muddy opener back at Hangtown at the beginning of the season. Smith was followed by Bultaco rider Danny Turner and Husqvarna's Nils Arne Nilsson. In the 500 class, there he is, Jammin' Jimmy Weinert. He won the race and the title that day, successfully defending the #1 plate he won the previous year aboard a Kawasaki. And that is what's happening in motocross history this week. Let's move on to the announcements. We were talking a little bit earlier about having ARMA on as a sponsor. I don't think this is an ARMA event coming up here, but at Zor Moto Park, that happens September 27th and 28th. Follow them online at zormotopark.com. Also, George Ackerman got a great event coming up. Does this a couple of times a year when George has nothing to do. He buys a couple of tons of chicken and beer and burgers and invites all of his friends over to his place so they can walk through the mini moto barn and the moto barn. This happens on County Line Church Road in Rutherglen, Glen, Virginia, October 25th from 10 a.m. to 4. Warren Reed will be there. Barry Higgins, Steve Wise. Who knows who else might show up there this year at the moto barn. I have to go to work on Sunday, October 18th, 2025. I will be your host at the big one, Northern California Motocross Reunion. That's October 18th at De La Viaga Park, Santa Cruz, California. Will you look at the list of people that are going to be here? David Bailey, Roger DeCoster, the Fox brothers, Brock Glover, Billy Grassi, Brad Lackey, Tom Rapp, Pat Richter, Daryl Schultz, Steve Simons, Dana Waxham, and it is confirmed that RJ, Ricky Johnson, will be there along with Jeff Ward. Okay? Those guys are confirmed as well. Go over to Road to Recovery, sign up, because there is mountain biking, there's golf, there's a lot of other events happening that day before all the bikes come on and the legends come out there and talk more about their careers and what happened during their career up there in Santa Cruz. Barbecue and fundraiser happens on November 14th. That's for Al Roof and the Crowder Creek ARP Church. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, all these ARMA events that are going to be coming up. Sunday, September 14th, you've got Rattlers Run. You got the Bonanza event happening on September 13th and 14th. That's in Marceline, Missouri. What else is happening? Friday, October 18th, Vintage and Post-Vintage. Saturday, Post-Vintage Cross Country. Post-Vintage on Saturday, and they've got Vintage Cross Country on Sunday. All right, that is in Centerville, Mississippi. What else is happening here? September 27th and 28th, Bushy Ranch. All right, look, they've got so much going on at ARMA. And you know what? They've been around for, I was an ARMA member the first time in 1999. They were around before that, okay? It's a great organization. They've tried to be cutting edge. They've kind of progressed nicely with the post-vintage stuff as well that people were having a little bit of a beef about as years were going. But look, they're trying their best, and they've been around a really long time. One of the greatest events you will ever attend is the Barber Vintage Festival that happens October 2nd through the 5th in Birmingham, Alabama. That is just outside of the Barber Motocross or Barber Motorcycle Museum. A spectacular museum. You're going to need a day. Look, I was there once and I needed 2 days to get through it. So if you're going to race and you're going to race on a couple of days and you're going to want to be down there, it might turn into 3 or 4 days for you if you really want to get through that museum and see all the things they have right now. I would call the Barber Museum the best in the country at this time. It will soon be the second best in the country when the International Motocross Museum opens its doors. Stay tuned for an opening date. That wraps it up for Vintage Motocross Q&A. Suze, you got anything else you want to talk about tonight?
No, I'm good. I'll get Gino, though.
Oh, yeah, get Gino. I'll bring him in here. Big ham that he is.
The big ham.
And we'll wrap it up here. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show.
Dang.
All right. And, Gene, come on, boy. Come up. Okay. There you go, Gene.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll see you next time, all right? Bye-bye.
The ham bone.